Hello viewer. All of these bags of torchis from upstairs that I brought most of it downstairs now have to go onto that pile over there and emptied, and I'll then take the empty bags upstairs and bag up the rest, hopefully bring all of that down so that that pile will be big, upstairs will be clean, and there'll be a lot of empty bags. That's the theory. On we go. So that's what I've got so far. Now it's upstairs, load up on more bags, bring them down. Oh. Well, if you've watched before, you'll remember that I'm neither fit nor young. So for me, this is tiring. So I'm just going to replace some fluids. I threw out a couple of scraps of chipboard, agglomere, as it is over here. That's just really horrible wet. It's like a damp rag. So that's no good for anything, not even for burning. I'll put that to one side and take it to the dump at some point, once I built up a sort of a van or a couple of van loads. I think I'm going to go upstairs now and throw some laser levels around and start measuring out a datum and then working up to areas so I can start calculating how many rails I need for and how much insulation and how much plasterboard and blah, blah, blah. I've taken rough measurements before, but this time I need to take them with a little bit more precision. It'll obviously have to bear in mind the fact that the floor is going to be taken out and replaced with a new floor, so that's all fine. If I work from a laser datum down and a laser datum up, all those numbers are good. So you can come and watch if you like. I'll probably have to fast forward it because, to be honest, it's not going to be that exciting. I might put some drawings in just to give you an idea of what I'm thinking. Off we go. Oh. It's wet Folk by the Oak. Fortunately, it doesn't often rain at Folk by the Oak, at Hatfield House. But anyway, I think perhaps I was a little bit too eager to throw a laser line around. I'm going to get rid of the remaining little strips of wood. In theory, I can burn them, but they're so small, you'll just spend your entire time with the door of the wood burner open, just shoveling stuff in. So I think I'll probably just load those up and take them to the dump. Yeah, let me get on and do that. Yeah, more sleepy uppy. It's cleaner. Right. Let's get the lasers. Ah. So this end is cleaner now. There's still these two big boards which I need to cut up and take to the dump. They were on the floor there. And over here, that's our little friend the snake. I've no idea how he managed to get up into the loft. As I say, I think probably one of the critters brought it in to eat it. Right, what I'm going to try and do is to use this here level, laser level over there, stick it on top of there, and if I throw a line around at the top of the wall plate, the top of the actual stone wall, I think, yeah, at the top of the stone wall, I can then measure up from that point all the way around to any structural point which I can use for putting an internal frame. So let me assemble the laser, throw up a line, and then I'll switch you back on again, and you can see what I'm up to. Right, pad of paper, a laser that occasionally goes round, and a tape measure. So, although you can't really see it, the laser is striking a line which is pretty much at the top of the stone wall here. And because it's going to be a level all the way around the room, underneath these beams, it's nice and consistent. So what I can do is I can use a tape measure and my pad of paper. I can note the line down to the current ground level and the line up to the top of the wooden wall plate beams. And that way I know exactly where, all the way around the room, what's level, what needs to go up, what needs to go down. Specifically the floor. So the floor I know is sloping, but hey, it's an old property, why wouldn't it? But it does mean that I can now, when I go from this datum line down, I can work out at what point I need to raise the floor joists in a line to create a new fresh level floor. That's the idea. So I'll put, well, you could just fast forward yourself really, and I'll go around and measure at a various number of key points, note it all down. Just for security purposes, the laser is actually a little bit below my eye level, so I'm not going to zap myself unless I bend down, which I will try not to do. Anyway, I'll carry on. Of course, there is a downside to having low beams. I have to duck to get under the beam. So I just bash my head. Actually, the number of times that I've bashed my head, you would have thought that that would be sort of like the Darwin principle. That, well, if it hadn't been for the fact that I've already had my children, maybe evolution would work and I would bash my head and I wouldn't exist. But there we go. There's some scientific theory for you. So I've got my drawing, and I'll throw this up on the screen as a sort of a drawing with heights above datum and heights below datum. Fairly soon, I've got to actually do the plans of and elevations of what these floors are going to look like, work out where to get the wood, how much wood to get, and then it should be a fairly swift job, fairly swift, taking down all the floorboards, taking down all the joists, taking down all of this chipboard, get that all out, and then put in fresh joists, new floorboards, which are all level. And then at that point, I'll probably have to cover that with hardboard or something to protect the new floor, because we still have to do this back roof. Joe's sort of forbidden me to get up there and do it myself. Perhaps because I'm a little accident prone, who knows? But anyway, I'll have to get somebody to quote on that. Well, after having used that laser level to throw a line around the place and do some measurements, I then moved on to a stick or a post which can be expanded and jacked up to, it's usually used for holding plasterboards in place, but I've got a magnetic bracket up there which holds another laser level, and behind it, you can see a little mark that I've put up there. Let's zoom in. So I've put a little mark up there, and I've done equivalent marks all around the room. And you can see the laser flashing there on the king post and up here. And if I hold you up here, you can probably see right the way across the room the other king post over there, and the arboletrio over there, the laser hits them all in exactly the same spot, and I've put a piece of black Gorilla Tape up there because that'll stick to anything, and a little bit of green frog tape because it's easier to see the black line against, and then a Sharpie marker against the frog tape. So that's my, at maximum, 2.5 meters from the current floor, maximum. Now, you can get cheap plasterboards over here at 2.44 meters and 2.5. So rather than go for expensive plasterboard at 2.6, say, and put it around the room and have an extra 10 centimeters of ceiling height, 2.5 is perfectly adequate. Ceiling's got to go somewhere. So that's where my ceiling height's going to be, 2.5 meters. And yeah, that's my line. On to the next job.